and we can start.
Welcome to the world now.
This is my thing. I do this one. And we start it how I want to start it. So everybody, I know no one can say things at the same time because there's a Discord delay through it, but we're all going to sing happy birthday to us because it's our channel's 1 year birthday.
So this fucking cat that wants to get into the
This
room.
month, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna mute you all and
This
pick my
month.
own keys.
September.
That's what we're
September
doing.
2023 is our birthday.
Yeah, which is it is September right now. So everyone follow this note. Did you get that? That's a C. Okay, ready? 1, 2,
Wait.
3. Okay, we're not.
Happy
Go ahead.
birthday
You said to wait. All right.
That's the
Wait.
cold open. That's
Thank you
the cold
guys
open.
for joining us for the Q&A,
Start.
answering questions from August. If you want to ask questions, you can join us over on our Patreon, and then from the Patreon, get over to our Discord. Yes, we have a Discord where we have a thread with all the questions. Or if you don't have the financial means to do that, just leave a question on the YouTube channel, and we'll look at those too if we remember. Yes, Aaron, you have a question.
I have a question, and that because I help own the show, I don't have to put it in the thread like the rest of you plebeians. Pop quiz for the other three of you, without looking. Hands up off the keyboard. Hands up off the keyboard. Hands up off the keyboard.
I don't live by your rules,
Without
but go
looking.
ahead.
Oh
Hand
shit,
check.
Matt's right. Never mind. He
I
doesn't.
run this show.
Can you name what day is our actual birthday in September?
No.
No. Okay.
Ooh,
No, I
ooh,
cannot.
Better
Okay.
yet, leave it in the comments, and if you do, you'll get a shout out in the next episode. No one can see the void that is your hands.
I know that was the point.
What are we
I was gonna
counting as our
whisper it very
birthday?
quick.
The first day we recorded? The
It was
day
the
of
day
release?
that I put out the opening sequence on YouTube that we put out a couple of days before the first episode went up.
Yeah,
that
I
was the
don't
first
know.
content we ever put out.
Oh, which
Hands up
is
the
side
keyboard,
note-
Kenna.
A side note to
Yeah.
this. A side note to
By your
this.
rules?
Thank you guys for the folks who did the very last minute voting I had asked for the Crit Awards. I didn't win, but like I appreciate the votes that I did get.
Thanks for that. You didn't do a good job.
Yeah,
but
if
thank
you
for
want,
that anyway.
Aaron, I can give you footage of me losing where they were doing the
Yes,
announcements,
please.
and
Yes, please.
we'll just patch it in like
It'll
right
go
there.
Right here.
Yeah. So that was cool. It was
Wow,
fun
you
to.
look so
And then when we
sad,
come
Matt.
back.
No, actually, I was smiling pretty hard. Wes and I
were
had a
you
great
really?
time.
Fuck.
Yeah, I was just like, it's rigged. Just kidding. No, but it was fun. We're gonna hit it next year with an even better song. Is it gonna be Unbeatable related? I'm probably not. But
Yeah, when's the second Unbeatable song coming, Matt? People have been asking.
Season 2.
as soon as we hit subscribers, so to know that number, you gotta
I'm
hit
gonna
it, and you'll know.
overdub you saying like 1,020 is all I'm saying.
No, the minute that our loving and awesome Pikachu video hits 1 million views, I think. See? Yeah, you try and get me with something, I'll get you right back. So anyway, we have
I'm gonna
some
unsubscribe
great
with all 100
questions
of my
that we
account.
have. So our first question is going to come from Sweet Tea over on the Discord. It's a question for Aaron. In your world, how would a trainer go about becoming a gym leader or even a member of the Elite Four? If that was the ultimate goal of their Pokemon journey.
So this is actually an interesting question because I actually had to think about this quite a bit because spoiler alert for episode 1 of Unbeatable, one of our players comes from the family of a gym leader.
Coryne, your mom's
Seth
a
Wake.
gym leader?
Coryne,
Yeah,
your mom's gym-
wild.
No, Seth is the son of Finn Wake, who's the current Cerulean gym leader. Basically, for the most part, who a specific leader is up to the actual gym of a given city. The gym leader has the right to pass on the title of gym. However, the league itself does have the ability to veto gym leaders and the ability to shut down gyms. So, for the most part, if you want to become a gym leader, you have to have decent standing within the league, and you have to essentially have the loyalty and respect of the people who currently run the gym in order to become it. Now, if we're talking like out of scratch, like you want to build a gym, you got to go to a town that doesn't have a gym, or in world
Hire a couple of
actual
Machokes
thing
to help
that
with the
happens
foundation building and cement
with
work.
the foundation, 100%.
Just build it from the ground
or
up.
actual in-world canon thing that did happen. You go to a city that does have a gym, set up your own gym, beat the shit out of that gym, get that gym canceled, and then make your own gym, which is canonically what happened with Sabrina and the Psychic Gym and the Karate Fighting type gym in Saffron City.
Yeah.
That is a real thing that happened in the games,
And
where the Psychic Gym
bonus
kind of ousted
option,
the Fighting Gym.
find a gym that where no one lives anymore and just take it over, like Brand.
Yeah, exactly. That's another thing too. Is once a gym in a city has been approved, it just kind of is there until the league goes, "Now that doesn't exist anymore." You know, or you could find a gym that works at like a paper
Mifflin.
company. There you go. Thank you so much. Thank you
Next
so much. I
question
love
comes
you.
from Blade.
Identity theft is not a joke.
Kidding. I will answer your question though. Your next one is for Aaron. Never mind, I won't answer it. I was considering adding megas to my personal game. If you were to incorporate megas, mega evolutions, for those who don't know, into your world, how would you do it? I've considered just raising the die size of all stages by 1, or having every current stat with 1 explosion before the roll to mimic the explosive power of Mega Evolution, and allowing non-canon Pokemon to exist since they have no official stat list. What does it mean by non-canon Pokemon?
So like Pokemon that don't have like megas or Pokemon that just don't exist, how they would do megas in that, because there like isn't official stats for that.
Gotcha. Yeah.
However, due to the fact that pretty much, and this is mild spoilers, pretty much everybody in the current team, I'm pretty sure all of you have a Pokemon that is mega able at this point. Everybody has a Pokemon that can mega evolve. If you were to somehow get a Mega Stone, if megas were to be canon in the world, which we haven't canonically decided as to whether or not megas are around, though I've been leaning more and more towards it because you all have mega available Pokemon. There's a Squirtle, there's some Beedrill, there's some stuff going on. So this is actually something we were talking about like a month and a half ago. So peek behind the curtain real quick. Like audience, I'm letting you in a secret here. August was a fucking nightmare of a month for us in terms of production. We have not recorded an episode of Unbeatable since mid-July. So we're a little behind right now at the moment. But back when we were recording things, we had kind of talked about megas a little bit, and basically we had talked about just using a different stat sheet. Like you have your Pokemon and then you have the mega sheet, and you kind of swap it in when you mega evolve. Because megas, they don't just change their stats. Like a lot of them have different abilities, they're different sizes, they might have different speeds depending on what they are. So I do like the idea of like using more explosive rolls. I think that's cool. Like can you guys imagine like you guys like get your Pokemon to Mega Evolve, and then I'm like, oh yeah, you guys just get like 2 free explosions on like a roll or something like that.
Yes.
Like that's pretty
That's how
sick.
you catch a murder case. Pretty easy.
That is how you catch a murder case. But overall,
Don't talk
like
about
yeah,
that.
I just have a separate sheet because I like papers. I like having access to things. So does anyone else have any other opinions on how we might want to implement that here though?
Yeah, I think it'd be cool. It could be like a once a day type of mechanic, and then the abilities of that Pokemon. It makes sense to have it be like a separate sheet, or like the idea of it being like a hand wavy, just bump all the stats up by 1 could be cool. And I do like you have an explosion that you get to use. I would say instead of making like 1 explosion for like every roll, or like whatever that would be specific, you were just saying it's 1 explosion they get to use like at some point.
Yeah, I was just throwing something out.
Sure. That could be cool. Or I would say they get to pick 1 stat, and as long as they are like an exploded Pokemon, or like a Mega Evolutioned Pokemon, that stat will always get the extra explosion for the duration of the fight, or until that Pokemon's returned. Because like say the fight ends, but then they fight someone else like a little bit down the line, as long as they haven't returned the Pokemon or like nullified the Mega Evolution, it like lasts until they go to sleep or something. But who knows? That's
There's a lot of crazy stuff
a
going
rule
on, yeah.
for the future. But great question, Blade. Appreciate it very much.
I thought Burrty might have had something there for a sec.
Would answer your question with a question. What is a Mega Evolution and how does it work?
So our
Okay.
next question.
What the fuck? No, let's answer Burrty, because okay, so this was in the X and Y series of games, and then also the Alpha Sapphire Omega Ruby series of games.
Rants.
Basically, you get this thing called a Mega Stone, right? And then that you wear, and then your Pokemon, there's like specific Mega Stones for specific Pokemon. So it's like Steelix would have like a Steelixite, which is like the Mega Evolution Stone for Steelix.
Right.
And basically, your Steelix would be holding the stone, and you, through the power of your bond with your Pokemon, could force them to a level of evolution above their current. It's kind of like Digimon evolution, where it's like a temporary state that they go to for a little bit. And basically, they have way better stats. They often have different abilities. They have different sizes. You currently have a Mega able Pokemon. Beedrill can Mega Evolve. I'll actually send you an image of Mega Evolve.
I've
Beedrill in
seen
the spam chat.
Mega Evolutions. I just don't know what the deal is with them. Are they a little bit like terrestrializing?
It's like terrestrializing, but it makes the
But cool.
Pokemon different, and they don't just have like a helmet that they wear.
I'm
Yeah,
not
so they have,
a
like,
fan of terrestrializing.
Totally different forms.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You'd be a
fine,
fan of
totally
Mega
fine.
Evolution. Mega Evolution's cool. I would say an interesting drawback slash like plot point to Mega Evolutions, depending on the Pokemon, is it hurts them in some cases because their body's not comfortable with rapidly evolving. I don't think anyone's body would, but like Sharpedo, Aerodactyl, Scizor, they all get funky because it hurts their body
Yeah,
to like
Steelix
grow
has
more bones.
giant growths of diamonds, like just jut out of its body. I just tossed a photo in the spam chat for you guys, and we'll put it on
Yeah.
screen here. Steelix just grows giant crystal growths that like spear outwards.
Like
It's super cool.
the dex entry for Mega Scizor is it stores the excess energy from Mega Evolution, so after a long time passes, its body starts to melt. So if you Mega Evolve your Scizor, you basically doomed it to dying by melting. 'Cause-
if you don't let it unmega evolve.
yeah, if you just
What
keep it
the fuck?
yoked up. So guys,
it's
let's
'cause
make
it's a
sure
level of power that
Vermilion.
the Pokemon is like
does
not
it.
supposed to have all the time. Yeah. And there are some dope megas out there. I highly recommend like you guys maybe because the players for the most part they like kind of think about what team they kind of want before we start playing, but like
Oh.
then I throw Pokemon at them and I fuck up their ideas and everything. Maybe the idea of looking for specific megas might be something in the future if we wanted to look at that.
Yeah, I didn't know that
anyway.
Mega Metagross
My-
becomes insanely smart when it
Yeah.
evolves. And so
My
it's just, like,
suggestion, potentially, like representing that kind of power jump might be lowering the need for lowering the number you need to get an explosion. So you explode on a 5 and a 6
That's
on a D6
fair.
as well as
That's
more
a-
than just a 6,
that's pretty easy. That's
That's
smart.
a really sick idea, actually.
rather than just free explosions. Just make exploding easier.
Because you can still miss if you're
Burrty-
Mega Evolved.
That's true. Burrty, this is how I know that you play human fighters in D&D, because your brain immediately went to
Champion.
game improved critical. Yeah, exactly. That's actually not bad. That might make the
Quick,
draft.
someone
I
write
like
that down
kind of
before
more
we
than
forget. There's no way
yeah.
we'll remember this. It's not like we're recording.
Yeah, definitely. We're not recording this in any way. Sorry about that, Matt. I saw Burrty had like a thing, and I'm like, oh, Burrty has an idea. I want to hear it.
Sure.
Sorry, I had a dumb joke to make.
Next question comes from Yamato from our Unbeatable Discord. Get in there, guys. It's cool. It's
I thought
fun.
you were gonna say
Um,
your mother.
Your mother.
Question from
Okay,
your mother,
so,
and it's when
they
you
say-
coming back.
So they say, here's my question. In PTU/PTA, which Aaron says means Pokemon Tabletop United or Pokemon Tabletop Adventures, there are classes that are considered supernatural, not the CW show, such as Hex Maniacs,
I'm currently
Aura Guardians, who can use people who can use auras, Psychics, Empaths. Yellow from the manga is technically, and that's cool. Really, did like dye their hair or something? And
No, they're not the same person. They're saying, and also N is technically an M.
Oh, and technically, got it. That makes sense.
you go.
But did you have any plans for implementing something like that in systems similar to them, or wish to forego it?
Gavin is actually an empath.
Shut the fuck up. Me and Empath is aware. So this is actually something this is a question I actually want to field to the players. Is psychics and hexmaniacs and ghost people are canon to the world of Pokemon? That's always been the case.
Built
Sabrina, the psychic trainer, like canonically has been a psychic this whole time. I want you guys to be fully honest with me. If those classes existed, like people who could move things with their brain or reach out to ghosts, how often are you not picking those classes over other classes like athlete? Well, you play human fighters, Burrty.
I was gonna say, Burrty, I don't
No,
think you
I'm
count.
not. I have a suggestion.
Well,
What's your
answer the
suggestion?
questions before you suggest. That was prompted. Answer Aaron's question that was prompted before you
Or
suggest
give
an
me,
alternate.
or give me both at the same time.
I mean, I would totally want to play that kind of thing. I don't know if I.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know if I pick it as like a long running character. My suggestion would be if you have these certain classes that are very, have much more esoteric abilities, have drawbacks to them.
You so right. You
move
so
stuff with your mind, up to
that
5
would probably be the
pounds.
case for the most part.
Yeah, you can move stuff with your mind, but when you do it, you take wounds.
And honestly, for the most part, it seems like psychics are not super powerful in the world of Pokemon. But yeah, Kenna, what about you as well? Like, how often are you not picking, I'm gonna be a Hexmaniac psychic?
I mean, that likelihood is pretty low. I'm not gonna lie to you that I'm not picking that.
But yeah, those are definitely things that I have lined up. I think I've also mentioned on previous Q&As as well that you guys are going to be able to pick another class to take once you hit your 4th badge. So with that, when it comes to what you're going to be able to do, like potentially we could see the expansion of, like, if you guys are in Lavender Town, one of you may be deciding when you pick your class going for a Hexmaniac because you found a ghost type that you really liked or something like that.
You could even do like something where it would be like situational feats, kind of like boons or whatever, that you'd get where, like, say we went to Lavender Town, had some type of interaction, and like we touched a headstone at the tower or something, and doing that gave whoever it was from some story ability or whatever the ability to like communicate with Pokemon better, and like that feat allows them to now have some psychic ability, blah blah blah, just hand wavy sentences that make it to where you don't take the full class, but you get like one of their, like, how classes have the 2-pronged to like
The two
abilities. You could potentially get one of those abilities or something to like mix and match, but have it be like story related if that's the case, not necessarily like change your entire class or make an entire new class, like addition, just like cherry pick what you need.
While I'm reticent to look at the feat like mechanic, I think that all classes stuff should be story based. That's a personal belief, is like if you want to take a secondary class, it should be story based. It shouldn't be. The whole point of this game is not to min max a character, and there for that reason is why classes don't have level progression, don't have a bunch of additional abilities. For the most part, they are basically just feats, is what they are. At the end of the day,
About the Pokemon.
it's about the Pokemon. It's always about the Pokemon.
Well, I even
All
meant like
about
aside
Pokemon.
from it, like separate from it being story related, like yes, the multi-class of like picking a different trainer class would be the thing, like reason or choice behind doing it, but having it be like, say you picked, like Seth had breeder and then whatever other class I would pick, but then doing something in the story gave him access to a feat of some other kind or whatever. Like it being like a third or alternate thing separate from the classes that you've already chosen type of deal. Which again, all would
and
be story based or whatever.
We'll see how that works in terms of like late game stuff, because that's definitely another big thing that I think people have asked about in the past, is like, what does late game play look like? And I'm like,
Gotta get
I don't know.
We gotta
We
get
haven't
there.
got it.
Yeah.
We'll tell you when
I'm
we know.
I'm Frankie from One Piece building the bridge underneath us as we're running. I
With
don't know
impeccable
what the game's gonna look
Or
like. in the late
Grommet
game.
from Wallace and Gromit laying out the tracks.
That's probably a more accessible reference.
But yeah, definitely
Frankie
it
from
it is
One Piece.
implementable. So our next question comes from our lovely friend Tori. For all the players, Aaron, shut up. If your starter for Unbeatable didn't work out, what Pokemon would you have chosen instead? I think our ability to choose our starters was rigged from the beginning, and I love Bowie so much, but I couldn't get the Pokemon I wanted, which was Mudkip. So Mudkip is my answer. Will always be my answer. If I was like, hey, you couldn't get Bowie, what would you name your Mudkip? And I would go from there. That's how it would look for me. But what do you guys think? What would your other Pokemon be? Alt voice.
If I couldn't have Ava, I would have these hands. It's Ava or nothing.
Okay. What are you casting for the
wouldn't
Pokemon
change?
AU? Our alternate unbeatable AU.
Well, I can.
An Abra. That'd be a cool starter.
Ooh, a bruh.
Abra's pretty sick.
Bruh, teleport.
And I don't
But
know.
Kenna.
I don't know.
Kenna's thinking.
There's so many. Probably.
As long as it's cute, Kenna's fine. Kenna doesn't give a
I
shit.
feel like-
It's a cute
Literally.
Pokemon.
Lugma.
No, honestly,
You know what I'm
it
thinking?
would. What?
So you say your thing first. I don't want to influence it.
No. Go ahead.
I'm very influential. Go, say
Oh,
your
shut
thing.
One of you just do. One of you do it. I'm gonna.
No, I think I would
scream.
pick a. I really think I'd pick a.
Mm.
Yeah, that's pretty cute. It's pretty. It's got.
I mean,
the
I
little
have one
tails.
now, which is great, but I would also. pick a
Spoiler
Vixen.
alert for
Oh,
anybody who's
sorry.
not on episode like 20 something.
What I was thinking that could be an interesting vibe would be a Chikorita.
Wait,
Chicory would be cute.
I don't think,
Chikorita would be really
I don't think
cool.
I ever picked Chicories.
And that's
In
your
all
fault.
of my
Such a
playthroughs of
fucking-
Pokemon.
That's your
You're
fault.
such a
Oh
I
no!
literally had the realization this morning that I like Chikorita more than I like Bulbasaur. I was thinking about it. Sorry, Tori.
Wow.
Sorry, Tori. I like
Ooh.
Chikorita more.
That's, oh, you picked a
Get in
fight
the
just
comments.
I take it back. I would
Yeah.
pick Oshawott.
Pretty
Water
Water
types. Water types. Okay. So, yeah, sorry for the Bulbasaur slander, Tori. Couldn't predicted that.
Fuck
It's
Bulbasaur.
gonna
Chikorita
happen.
better. Chikorita
Okay.
gang.
Okay,
I think
anyway.
Turtwig might be my favorite grass starter.
Turtwig is the correct answer for best grass starter, but Chikorita is still better than Bulbasaur.
Turtwig's, I was gonna say, I don't like the one that's the snake one.
Grottle?
Uh,
Oh, Superior. Okay, yeah, and
yeah.
Snivy.
I like the
Snivy, yeah.
the Donkey Kong drum one. That one's fun. I forget his name.
Oh,
uh,
I also don't remember his name, but I know the one you're talking about. Grookey.
Grookey. Yeah, Grookey's fun.
With his little drums.
With his little stick, yeah.
Kenna's
I
Googling
like
Grookey right
Turtwig
now. He's
because-
so fucking cute.
Don't know. Goated.
Yeah.
Um,
Also, Torterra. Can you imagine like putting a hammock on Torterra's
Yeah.
tree and then just like riding that around?
that was one of the coolest parts about Detective Pikachu, where those large Torterra.
It was a giant fucking
The
Torterra,
mountain
yeah.
Torterras.
Super
Oh, yeah.
big.
God, I hope our entire audience has seen Detective Pikachu, given how much we fucking reference it.
That's our next live stream. Is just a watch along, but it's we're just telling them when we start it, and then we're just gonna be watching it, and they'll watch us watch it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Next question comes from a River. You mentioned repeatedly that the anime was the main inspiration behind the mechanics. So I have some anime style interactions that they would like to know how we would rule them. Number 1, using a move as defense / response rather than attacking. So like when Steven had Metagross use Psychic to redirect Elaine, I think Elaine, Charizard's flamethrower.
Charizard Flamethrower. I was really scared because you were putting me on the spot for mechanic stuff. This actually, I know the exact answer for this because I have tried to get you guys to do this before, and it's worked a couple of times. In battles, you guys have done it. All I've said is, if you win the roll, you can describe whatever happens for the defense however you want, as long as it makes sense. So there's actually some points in time where Burrty actually did this in his most recent fight that we're not going to talk about how it went. But there was a moment where some boulders got chucked at a Beedrill, and he's like, I use like
Quick,
brick
Mewtwo,
bricks
stop
to, like,
it.
break them
That's what-
as they're
that's what
coming
Gavin
at
said.
me. Mewtwo, get out of here.
outta here.
But in terms of that is 100% flavor related stuff. The attack and defense roll thing, like, I really want this is like me talking to you 3 players. Ignore the fucking internet for a second. I would love it if you
guys
did
are
more
great,
shit like this,
by
'cause
the
I
way.
think it's
We're-
cool.
we're not
I
Fast
think
forward
it's
the
fully
video.
ignoring
This
you.
isn't for you.
I think it's so cool if you do stuff like this. Like, it doesn't cost extra PP. It doesn't do anything like that. It's PowerPoints, Matt. Get that grin off your face. But
His face didn't
I
move.
was thinking that was
he's
funny.
totally
We were all thinking it, but none of us did anything.
he was trying to play it off, but I
No,
know him
because
too
in
well.
my head I was playing out the whole thing of like, well, no, because that would have been my question is like, oh, is that going to take away from our PowerPoints or whatever? And I was just having that whole I was fast forwarding the conversation, answering my own question, and then you were like, "Well, no, stop smiling about pee-pee," and I was like, "I wasn't, but now I am." So it's funny. I can't.
I think
deny
when
it.
rewind the video, we were all grinning.
I think when I've done that kind of stuff, I did say at the time, I was like, "Oh, I'll mark off the PP if you want," and then you were like, "No, it's fine."
And then I was like, "Nah, don't do it. Don't worry about it. It's good."
If you say it's not going to affect the PP, then Bowie is going to use Hydro Pump to avoid every attack possible.
That's fine because it's mechanically not giving you any benefit. It's about the story and the animation.
It's
going to
intimidate everyone.
Movement. Yeah, like if you say
Bowie never touches the ground
this
in the next
attack
fight.
is coming at Myrtle and Myrtle's
Just
gonna water
hovering.
gun the ground and fucking triple backflip over it. That's dope. Do that. I love that.
Done.
Some of these other ones are, I think we've talked about before in sessions, and the third one is legitimately part of what I think you cut out of one episode that we were talking about. So I'll get the second one, which is combining moves, which we already know that's going to be a thing. Their example for people who watch the show, Ash's Weasel used an Aqua Jet and Ice Punch to freeze the Aqua Jet's water, dealing more damage. We've thought about doing things like this before. There's a certain limit that we'll get to in the later game stuff, which just let us get there. It'll take a minute, but I believe if I'm correct on this, once we hit 4 badges, we can start combining moves.
5 badges.
5 badges. That's what I
5
said the
badges
first
was
time.
Yeah. We'll overdub it. It's fine.
Yeah. It's so that you can combine 2 abilities and have it be one type of attack, and make like a hybrid type of move.
That's currently a drafted mechanic that is in my version of the rules and not the document that I've been prepping for the playtest, which is coming up in a couple months. Combination moves, I think, is something that really captured my brain early in terms of what you could do with Pokemon moves, because I'm going to out myself to our entire audience right here. I read so much Pokemon fanfiction. I read an unhealthy amount of Pokemon fanfiction. And that's like one of my favorite things is when you see these really creative writers go like, yeah, I'm going to have trainers make up new moves for Pokemon because they're not bound by the mechanical, uses of a game. It's all narration. It's all storytelling. So I did come up with a relatively trackable system for combination moves pretty early on. I think the example that I put in there was like Iron Tail and Shockwave together. But I don't think that mechanic is table friendly yet. I think it's very much in my brain, with the picking things apart and me knowing everything I know about the system, it makes sense to me. I think if I handed Burrty that page and said, hey, do this, it would take a solid 2 days before you went, wait, this is broken. And I would go, yes, it is. Yeah, so I think that there is definitely combination moves are in the works, but they're not something that we allow yet.
The ingredients are in the kitchen, but we're not baking yet. So let's let those sit on the shelf. But the third one, yeah, exactly. The third one is one that in the most recent of episodes we discussed for a hot minute, and that is the canceling of moves. Example, using Dig but not resurfacing, or staying hidden, or stopping Brave Bird just before it hits to force a positional advantage. Which really, if you're doing that, just use the dash action or move. But I get what they mean.
26 minutes. I cut 26 minutes of us talking about Dig and Fly specifically out of the episode, because what happened was Burrty asked an important question because he was fighting somebody who used Dig. And I went, oh, I didn't think about that. And we talked about it for 26 minutes, and then the end with Burrty's like, nah, I'll just do something else, it's fine. Because of how fucking awful the rulings were.
That's a whole episode of One Piece right there that I could have sat through.
Almost 2.
You should have
almost 2, depending.
Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
So anyway, to answer that, you'll later. Don't worry about it. You're fine. Don't think about it. Just don't do it. That's the easiest way.
We came up with a passing ruling for now, right? We did.
I don't remember.
Burrty, do you remember what the ruling is?
Nope.
It's been a month and a half.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll rewatch the episode.
So first of all, they're actually not talking about exactly what we were talking about. They were talking about what we were talking about is a kind of symptom of what they're talking about. They're talking about just using portions of moves to get advantage. So for example, we talk about the dig move or the Brave Bird move, like I don't actually think Brave Bird adds to it, but Brave Bird's what they said. I would actually say something more like Fly or Quick Attack or something like that. Something that added movement to you for the turn. Because that's actually how the Quick Attack used to work like that. It doesn't work like that anymore. But it used to like give you movement. And then you just not hit with it. That was totally fine. Of just like using it to get movement and then just sticking around. What we were talking about specifically is positional advantage in terms of like, if a Pokemon just digs underground, how are you ever going to hit them? Because like, one of the important distinctions about this game is that there is the dig move, and then there is burrowing, which Pokemon can have burrowing speeds and not necessarily be using dig. Dig just gives things a burrow speed or improves it. With that, we had to come up with a system of like, all right, if a Pokemon's underground, how do we make them not just sit there for the whole game? We had to work on a lot of different things. And eventually what we came down to is like, all right, if something's underground or something like that where it just can't be reached, it's just a penalty to hit it. And it's just like in a full obscurement where it's like a -5 to try and hit that thing. It basically works like cover rules, because this was a 26-minute conversation of what do I do if it just sits underground and waits me out? Because that's not fun. Yeah. But we didn't do that.
And they said thanks at the end of that message. And then they followed up with a second question. And they said, feel free to skip it if there are too many questions, but we're not going to skip it because we want to answer as many questions as we can. What does being a professional Pokemon trainer mean in Unbeatable? Is there like a football-style league where everyone participates in battles and each other and then playoffs? Is it more like boxing/UFC where there are less fights, but each one is a huge event? If this is the case, how does this level match against the E4 and Champion? E4 is Elite Four.
This is... I mentioned to you players earlier before this that I was like, there's going to be one of these questions is going to be me getting to tell you guys cool stuff about the world that hasn't come up yet in conversation. And I hope that it'll inspire you guys in-game. So basically, the way that competitive Pokemon battling works is every individual is kind of listed as an individual in terms of how good they are. You are individually ranked in terms of your power based on the number of badges you had, the wins, the losses. And I would say in that way, it's a lot like mixed martial arts, UFC, like where you are an individual and there are these big like show matches that you do and they make a lot of money, and it's like, oh, well, like, you know, this person is going to go up against this person. They have like a win-loss and blah, 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 blah. In terms of the professional battling scene, this is not like to say like necessarily this is not how the league battling works. It's not necessarily how like the individual championships work, like the conferences that happen. However, there are also battling teams that exist in terms of if there is a tournament, a company might sponsor 6 or 7 different trainers, and those trainers would be like considered like Team Silphco. And if one of those people wins that overall tournament, they win for Silphco, they get that win. And that's kind of how competitive team ranking works, in that it's not a solid system. It's a kind of like you've allied yourself with other members of the team that exist. Now, obviously, there's all kinds of gray areas around this. So like, well, what do you do if you're up against somebody who's on your team? And that is a very looked down upon portion of Pokemon battling, where necessarily you might have people throw matches. You might have people act shittily. But not everything's been figured out in this world, and things are interesting. But yeah, so like one day, if somebody, say, Gavin, who wants to be a professional Pokemon battler one day, might eventually look at trying to get onto a team before making a name for himself and going out on his own, because that would give him access to more resources.
Only there was a place that offered a sponsorship.
Nah,
It's
there's
not
no
off
such
the-
thing. Nobody would ever.
Not off the table, but I'm not
It's
trusting
hanging.
it.
It's hanging off that table.
Well, I was gonna
Well,
say
it's
it's
teetering.
teetering.
It's teetering.
I'll also let you know, Burrty, don't feel bad. Vosco does not have a corporate team.
Cool.
They have a couple sponsored trainers for the
Yet.
main thing.
Yeah.
But they did just acquire a company that does have a corporate team, the Silphco team.
Great.
So that's all I'm saying. But
Gavin's
that
not
is something
gonna-
that I think is really cool.
Sign himself up to a company that he doesn't know if he's morally on board with yet.
You're so valid.
I have a
What's up,
question.
Kenna?
So,
Yeah.
bought Silph.
This is the video
right?
for you.
What the f-
I didn't hear what you said because of Matt's fucking
Sorry.
zinger. I didn't hear what you said because Matt was being funny.
So Bosco bought Silphco, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is Silphco still allowed to operate as Silphco and Bosco is just a parent company?
Yeah,
Or are they
it's still an
wiping out the
entity that
show?
exists. They haven't merged.
They
the
just
companies. they own it now.
Moused it. I don't
Yeah.
want to say the company name.
It's they Disney'd it. I'm gonna say it. His name is Mike. Fuck it.
Michael
Oh
Mouse.
my god.
Okay. Anyway,
Okay.
next
I
question.
did a What We Did in the Shadows where I don't even want to speak his name. His name was Mike.
Echo
I don't
in
give
the
a fuck.
fog.
His name was Mike.
So they have a question that said, I was wondering with held items such as Evilite and other defense/special defense increasing items, would it reduce damage by a minor wound to contrast the sharp beak, which would increase moves by a minor wound? Also, items such as like wide lens, how would you approach the increased accuracy, or would it just nullify any reduction to the first stage? For the abilities such as flash fire, would it increase the damage and fire type moves by a minor wound? I'm sure all that makes sense to you.
Kenna, I'm gonna only answer the flash fire thing, and I'm gonna have Kenna. If you don't currently have your character sheet open, can you please open your fire types sheet and read the? Oh no, you don't even have flash fire. You have drought. God damn it! I was really hoping.
Just
you could
answer
read
it.
this.
Just take it.
Basically, my answer to this is keep a lookout for the playtest document that will have all of these answers in it, because there's a lot of very specific items you're asking about in that, and I don't want to take time out of this Q&A to answer every single one of those. What I will say is I'll get the accuracy one, because that's a really specific one that comes up. In terms of increased accuracy, we generally have bonuses and penalties that can be added to rolls. So instead of it being like D4s or something like that, we have certain things that give statics and minuses to rolls, like light obscurement giving -1 or certain things like that. Those are very small and incremental ones, but they do happen. But unfortunately, Kenna, I just remembered that your Vulpix does not have flash fire. It has drought, which means that you would not be able to read that question. Which means that I would have to open up this other thing, which I could do.
I have the thing open. Would you like me?
Do you have the master sheet open?
Yeah, would you like me to read Flashfire?
Yeah, can you just read Flashfire? Just get that out of there.
So, when this Pokemon would receive a wound from a fire type attack from another creature, they instead receive no wounds. Fire type moves that they use deal 2 additional minor wounds until fainted, returned, or battle end. Additional hits from fire type moves do not raise the wound damage more.
Yes. So basically, it's just a temporary wound bonus. I couldn't remember what the exact wording was, but that's the best I could do for Flashfire. A lot of these were like very case by case. Matt has sat with me in those writing ability sessions where I sit down with a list of 100 like moves or abilities, and I go, all right, I'm gonna work my way through this. It's very case by case.
And I helped.
And
So,
You did with the moves.
Hope that's a
Burrty, were you
sufficient
gonna say
answer
something?
for you.
It's almost like turning a game that does hundreds of calculations every time you take an action and turning it into something you can do with dice and paper requires some simplification.
Oh boy, does it need to be simplified.
Wait, there's a video game?
Okay.
So
For the card game.
our
There's
next
text adventure.
question. I play the Pokemon card game video game. That's I knew that they made a video game about the card game I play. So our next question comes from Gregory, which by the way, we didn't really do it in this episode, but if there's ever like too many questions and we can't answer them in a video, when we record these, we'll just like type the answer in real time. So if you're ever in the Q&A thread and you see like a little 100% mark, just know we answered it in a video. And if you're ever like looking and trying to find an answer to something and you go and check this and you want to know, just if you see 100%, then it's in whatever month that is video.
Yeah.
Anyway, Gregory had a question. Sorry to interrupt you, Gregory. This isn't campaign related. Well, then never mind. Kidding. But was it? What is something that hasn't? Okay. What is something they haven't made a Pokemon for yet that you would like to see, and what type combo would you make it?
Like an
Okay,
animal?
so
So are we just making
like
a
an
Pokemon?
animal or something that just make a Pokemon that you think would be cool that you think that doesn't exist yet.
Hmm.
I'm gonna play the Jeopardy music right now.
Well, we already know if it's a new Pokemon, it has to be firefighting because there's not enough of those. In the world.
Every firefighting type. I'm gonna remove them from the game. They don't exist anymore.
Thing is, I'm so behind on like the newer generations of Pokemon.
Think out loud. I'll tell you if it's
Honestly,
if it's not.
No. We just let you build, and then
Yeah.
if you say something that exists, we slowly insert it to frame.
You're just like, oh, you just described Octillery. Cool. Word. All right. Well,
Until
that's
you
fun.
went with a Gen 2?
Yeah. Or no, what's the other one? That's like it's an octopus that just punches. It's like the water type.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like
Oh, it has a little newt. Little newt.
That's Octillery.
quick, Kenna, on the spot, make a Pokemon. Go.
No, because all the ones that I'm thinking of, I immediately looked at my Squishmallow, but I want Pokemon that are based off of classical artists. So I want like a Van Gogh Starry Night Pokemon.
That'd be cool.
That would actually be sick. Like a dragon type.
or like
that's
a
also
Monet.
like a dark type or something. Oh,
Yeah.
I think it'd be cool to have like kind of like how
And
there's the
One Jackson Pollock.
the
Jackson
Sinistee and
Pollock.
like the Kling Clang, like the Kling Clang where it's like gears, or the key one or the sword one, having it be like a picture frame that is like changing and like that has all the art on it, but like it's just their face or whatever. That could be kind of cool. What's that Pokemon, Aaron?
What's that Pokemon?
Don't ask me.
I
I don't have original thoughts. I just translate other people's original thoughts.
Oh no, I didn't know if that was a Pokemon that may have already.
Oh no, not that I'm
I
aware
don't think
of.
it does.
I am aware that Sinistee is already a thing. I want
Uh-huh.
it's a
Crumpet
little,
tea.
No, it's a Pokemon that's like a coffee cup, like a to-go coffee cup. It's a fire water type that can't be put to sleep by any means.
Mm.
Because it's a caffeinated
'Cause
little
it's
bit. Fun fact:
caffeinated.
there's only, as far as I'm aware, one fire water type that exists.
Yeah.
It's Volca something. Maybe.
It's like that,
It's like
horse.
a legendary or pseudo legendary or
Kelpie
something.
or something like that, right? Keldian?
No. Kelpie's I think is a that's a or that one is a
Volcanion.
fighting type. I'm pretty sure.
I thought it was fire water.
Yeah, Volcanion. No, I'm pretty sure that's a fighting type.
Weird.
This is the only
Anyway,
type
Burrty, to answer the name of what that Pokemon would be, I feel like it'd have to be Ghost at some point. Maybe like the Terra type could be Ghost, but I would call it Cawfiend. And it'd be like a
Fiend.
little angry coffee cup that's just like, I'm angry. And that's
That's
I would go.
awesome, actually. I think the two of those. It's got levitate as its ability. maybe,
Exactly.
or hustle.
It's one of those like built-in ones. It doesn't necessarily have to be like the main ability.
And yeah,
But the way it
Volcanion is
levitates
the
is just
only
constant
fire
vibrating
water
from
type.
the caffeine.
Yeah. Which sucks because it's like it's like a mythical or something like that. Like it's not
Yeah.
even. Yeah, it's
Say
not even like,
Zoan.
regularly available.
Jeez, I have brain
It's a
rot.
Zoan. It's a Zoan type. You fucking.
So
One
I
Piece
think the
nerd.
thumbnail for this episode should be just like a Starbucks cup, but just with like a Pokeball on it. You want to cook that up?
No,
Yeah,
it's
get
just
on
it's
it.
just a
Yeah,
fire.
100%
It's just a
Coffee.
Starbucks
I'm telling that
cup
to
with
our
little arms
art
and
person
legs.
that makes the assets.
Starbucks cup with little arms and legs and a little
Yeah.
and a little face
Chop
where
to
the
it, Burrty.
Starbucks
Get
logo
on it,
would
Burrty.
be.
Love that for
Get
you.
on it.
As creative
Bring
as you
it.
want to be. Yeah, so I think our team Pokemon is Cawfiend. That's the Cawfiend, the Java Pokemon.
We've made it.
Rhoda.
They should.
Nintendo,
Nintendo, hit us up.
Pokemon.
Hit us up, Nintendo.
So we got that. Next question comes from Trinam. What has been
Trenium.
your favorite?
I thought it was Trenium. Yeah.
Sure, dude. I don't know. What has been your favorite part of playing and deciding to upload Unbeatable? Well, I can tell you it's not editing. Was uploading it always a plan, or is there a world out there where you guys just kept it private? Play.
I don't
We
know,
get the
guys.
end of the day.
Was the plan
We're
to
all-
always upload
We're
it?
all narcissists. I'm kidding.
Pretty sure, yeah.
Uh,
You came with this was always meant to be a show.
Yes.
This is the most produced
Uh,
thing any of us have really made, like in this kind of long form content.
That is definitely true. And that was always like the goal. I think I literally came to you guys with a pitch. Like I had a pitch meeting with each of you
You
for
did.
Said,
this.
hey,
Of, like,
if you're not gonna be able to do this long term, don't talk to me.
That was how it
Yeah,
started.
It was,
I'm gonna be too busy.
Yeah, that was.
it
That's how
it
any
was a
conversation
thing.
with Aaron starts with me.
I'm a horrible boss. Fire me. Cancel me. Cancel me.
Not at all.
Yeah, what happened is I think I've told the story before, but like I read the entire rulebook for PTU. I read the whole thing and I went, this is not my shit. This is like, I'm not gonna shit talk the game. The game works for a lot of people. A lot of people really love it. It just was not for me. And I was like, I want to make this game. I'm a broke college student. I can't afford to just spend all of my time making a game. But if I were to make the game and a show to advertise the game and eventually release the game under a generic system that could then be sold, then capitalism would let me work on the thing that I'm passionate about. And then I went, oh, I got a bunch of friends who are good at stuff. I mean, I do this thing called This Show's a Mimic where we do Twitch streams, and that's pretty fun. Let's do something with that. And then it slowly became the two of the people that I play the most D&D with in my life. I think Burrty and Kenna have been in almost every major campaign I've been in for the last 3 years. And then Matt has been my white whale of a playing games with.
Except for I'm not.
Of Matt and I have
fully white.
been friends. No, yeah. I was a literary reference. But Matt and I have been friends since May of 2020, and we hadn't played a game together till like a month before we started thinking about Unbeatable.
It was a fun little mini game to have throughout the year where it's like, hey, yearly
Yeah.
check-in. Have we played together? No? Sick. See you next year.
Nope. So yeah, that's kind of where that came from, where I was like, let's make a show to advertise the game so that I can make the game long term and there will be something to keep me accountable, and also so that people will enjoy the game. And that's been working, because now we've got the playtest coming up in October where we're going to be putting out applications for the playtest stuff, which is going to be a lot. That's going to be a whole thing, and I'm excited for it.
To answer one of those layered questions that were in there, my favorite part of playing and deciding to upload that I've come to realize is the dumb stuff I say that other people laugh at that I can reference later because they now understand what I'm saying when I make a dumb joke. It's powerful, actually. And I will never be the same. I have built myself a throne and I shall sit on it. I think it's fun to make jokes, and I'm glad everyone gets the jokes I make, and I can reference them now with ease. So that's
What
my
about the
favorite.
other two of you? What's your favorite bit of that we?
And it can be the
for,
same
like-
thing that I said about me.
Yeah, but it's not about Matt though, because you don't need it to be about, Matt's
Could
the
be, though.
worst. Yeah, he's the worst. He's
Could
the
be.
worst. It could be, but it won't be.
Good,
But
it
won't
should
be.
be. It should be actually.
It
Make it
could
about
be.
me.
It won't be though.
What's
It
your
should
favorite thing about
It-
playing with me? That's the new question.
Why don't you like me? Yeah. What's your guys'
Daily
favorite part
affirmation.
about like recording this or doing this? Like, just in terms of the production of Unbeatable, like moments that have happened or like things that you enjoy.
I'll go first. Second, because Matt went first, and everybody knows what Matt's favorite part is.
One,
I
baby.
honestly, I really like the collaborations that we've done. So none of this is ever. There might be a couple things but none of the behind the scenes stuff really sees the light of day. And so because this is a new game that Aaron is creating, and we're like helping generate the story around it, and we're play testing it and getting all of those mechanics and everything, there's a lot of not necessarily disagreements, but like things where like people have different ideas, and then we need to come to some sort of resolution or solution. There have been a couple of times where we've had these sit down talks where it's like, how are we all going to get through this together? Those are my favorite times because it is the most collaborative and healthy conversation. It's some of the best working conversations that I've ever had in my life, period. So getting to work with these 3 other people.
You can say
That's-
bozos. It's fine.
All right.
You could say assholes.
Getting
can
to
say
work with these
buffoons.
3 fucking ridiculous.
You can be meaner. It's
If-
fine.
I literally
If we
can't
couldn't
because I love you
healthily
guys. So.
communicate, like if we couldn't talk about some of the like whenever like an issue would come up or like whenever we need to work on something, this
been done months
campaign
ago.
would have crumpled like a year
so
ago.
fast. So fast.
Because definitely like there's that thing where we all want it to be a really good production. But like I was saying with one of the more recent episodes of like 26 minutes we had to cut out off of a rules question that we were all exhausted by the end of that conversation.
made it.
Because we did it.
You
we
won't know
nailed
what
it.
episode we're talking about.
I'll tell you right now, it was episode.
Whatever one there's
32.
fucking Pokemon digging in.
Yeah, Pokemon 30. It was episode 32. 32. There was a 26-minute time jump. But
Maybe it's not.
Maybe it's not. Maybe it's 31. Yeah, if we couldn't healthily communicate, this campaign would not have lasted as long as it has, nor would it have continued to go. But what about you, Burrty? What's your favorite thing with like the production or just us doing this?
I have really enjoyed just the story we've made, and it feels very fresh, because we're able to tell a much more kind of grounded almost story than exists in any iteration of Pokemon so far that I'm aware of, except maybe Detective Pikachu. Like, I think ours is a lot more along the lines of Detective Pikachu than it is like.
No, our roots. Our roots.
Yep.
Detective Pikachu.
In that we treat the world as real, and we very occasionally lean on anime rules for the world.
Yeah. We have fun anime moments, but it's all pretty grounded. Burrty, I was thinking about this. You know what I realized is Detective Pikachu was made for depressed 20-somethings who played Pokemon when they were kids, and now we're the depressed 20-somethings who played Pokemon when they were kids.
Ouch.
Who are now playing this game.
Great.
So it was made for us, and that's why we play so much like it. Is what it was. Is like we were the target audience for Detective Pikachu, and that's why when we made our own Pokemon show, that's why it's basically the same thing.
I can appreciate.
That's fair.
Defo.
Well, great job answering that multi-layered question. Final question to wrap up the video is coming from a person in our Discord community whose name escapes me verbally,
Put it on screen.
but it starts with a D. Okay, so their question was, I have a question about stat boosts. Great. So I remember back in previous episodes with Ponyard, where his ability was able to raise his attack stat, but it did it once or twice because his stats were the max size. I thought it was a bit weird because that implies if you had a really strong Pokemon with max attack, he couldn't do Swords Dance. Am I wrong in that statement, or are there plans to change / improve on that mechanic? Yes, there is. Take it away, Aaron.
Yeah, so there was actually, like, one of the things we're not talking about with this question is in the Discord, there was actually some discourse about this question, where there was, like, a little bit of conversation that was happening, where somebody did rightfully point out that was from our old system, because we kind of changed how stats work around episode, like, what, 17, 18, something like that?
Probably.
It was in Cinnabar, right, is when we changed stuff?
Yes, it was good. It was before the gym battle.
Yeah. But one of the things that people talk about is, like, how would we match the boosting of, like, in the game, right? You have your stages in your stats, and you can get, like, up to 6, and there's, like, all these different things. When I tell you that stat boosts have been the number one kind of, like, flip-floppy we've been trying to figure out how we're probably doing it, I know that I've talked with Burrty, like, a lot about some of the stat boost stuff. There's a conversation that we had when we were just dicking around on the internet. The current system maxes out at a D20 because we decided that is the most fun to play with. We talked about adding bonuses. We talked about, like, doing, like, stacks of, like, oh, maybe you just add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, depending on what stage you're at. We talked about doing all these things. And ultimately, I think it was Matt who said it best, where it was like the more incremental math we add, the slower the game goes. I don't think you used that exact wording, but that was, like, your basic point was, like,
I'm verbose, but not that accurate with my words.
Yeah. Where it was at the point where the more kind of in the dirt we get it, the slower it goes. And the whole point is this game is, like, it's not PTU. If you want the crunchy mechanic stuff, go play that game, because that's definitely what it's for. This game is roleplay first, narrative first, dice by far second. So when it comes to, like, trying to figure out stages, this is another reason why I didn't really want to answer the question about all the items earlier, because those rules are going to exist. I'm trying to make them work to exist. We are doing the best we can with making things work, but it's never going to be the same as the video game, because what Burrty said something earlier, which is you don't have a computer making 100 different, decisions for you.
We have an
whenever you do
Aaron.
something here. You have an
Does all
Aaron who
that.
has to try and guess what 6 people sitting at a table when I'm not there are going to do in the future. You know what I mean? Because
That's
very
his
often
quirk.
it'll be like, we'll hand wave something and it'll be like, oh, we'll do like a this thing now. But then I know that I need to go back and fix that rule, because no GM for this game is ever going to know this game as well as I do. And that was like a big thing that I realized when I was making it, is that I am going to be the only person who knows everything about this game as intimately as I do, because I'm the one who makes the game. If that makes sense. Kenna had a hand up though.
How easy is it for you to be able to predict what we're going to want to do in game? Are we predictable for you?
You
are
are some of the most
predictable.
fucking like frustrating ass motherfuckers ever, because I'll have an inkling that you guys want to do something and then it'll be like, yes, that was perfect. Like I'll have like a week. The weaker the thing that I think that you'll do is, the more likely you are to do it. If I think 100% you're gonna want to do something, other direction.
No chance.
Other direction.
Never let him know your
And I
next step, guys.
It
That's
never
how he
happens.
wins. That's how he wins.
But that's also one of the reasons why, with like something you had mentioned earlier, Kenna, of us like talking a lot, I ask you guys so often, I'm like, hey, what are you thinking upcoming? What do you think is gonna happen here? Because I need to know, because I can't guess. Yeah, anyway, that's that question.
Love it.
Nice. Well, guys, I think we had a grand time, answered a bunch of questions. And if you want to ask a question, you could leave it in the comments of this YouTube video, or do the better option, which is go to our Patreon, subscribe there, hop on over to our joyous little Discord, and then look into the Q&A chat for the next month, which would be September. So the month that you're watching this in is, you can ask the questions for us to answer.
You're watching
in the
it in
next one.
September, and it's the August one.
Yeah,
But the
so-
September one you're gonna watch in October, because it's the September one, right? Well, we're also playing with changing the dates on those two. Keep an eye out for our updates, because we're
We'll let you know.
playing with the windows
Oh,
at which we're gonna
yes.
do Q&As, because we have some other things.
But with that being said, leave more questions. We love answering them. Also, leave us a cool.
Burrty just posted the thumbnail in the fucking chat.
Nice.
Burrty just posted.
Where?
On screen.
What?
On screen.
What?
Okay.
Look in the call chat.
It's in the it's in the call chat. That is funny. I like it.
I never look at call chat.
It's so stupid. Oh no.
If you see where like all of our faces are in the top right.
That's
Get
really
about
scary.
It, get about it.
I don't like
That's
it.
funny.
It's like the most cursed rotom that's ever existed.
No, I'm watching
I did just
Supernatural
use the
right
Ross
now.
on face.
That's a possessed cup.
Oh my god. All right. That's where we're ending it.